Welcome students to your editing class with me today. My name is Priscilla Ayi. I've been doing this for the past close to 20 years, if I would say. Editing is fun and I hope you'd enjoy what we'll learn about today. It's going to be very practical, so take your time, enjoy and take some points. So the topic we'll be treating today is rhythm and pacing. I hope you have fun. Let's edit. In your day-to-day lives, I'm sure you edit each and every day, even if you're not in school or in class. You go for a function, you take videos, you take pictures, and with the evolution of digital media now, we have a lot of editing apps on our phones. So you find yourself, you come back home and you're like, okay, let me cut this part of the video, let me cut that part of the video, let me add a little music to it, let me add a little picture or graphics to it, let me add some few effects to it, and then let me post it on my social media handles. It could be on your TikTok, on your Instagram, or on your WhatsApp status for people to see, share and like. Basically, that's editing. So when it comes to professional editing, how and when you find the right rhythm for editing, I would say this has to do with each and every editor. Your skills and your experience would help you to determine the rhythm of a film. But once you start editing your first scene, you should have the flow, you should have the pace, you should have the tempo or the rhythm that you want to use for the entire film. And usually this would be influenced by the genre of the movie. So you could have a thriller, you could have a rom-com, romantic comedy, you could have comedy, you could have science fiction, action. All these things would play a part in determining how the pacing or the tempo or the rhythm of your edits should be. So let's say you're editing an action movie. Obviously, you can't start with extremely slow rhythm or slow way of cutting your shots. It would be boring. You lose your audience. And you have to understand that editing is all about grabbing the audience attention from the minute you start the movie till the end of the final scene or the final shot. So your experience, your intuition, how you want to edit the thing based on your understanding of the script or understanding of the story, the narrative that is being told, and the visuals or the rushes that you have. You'd have to put all these things in place, and that would determine the exact flow or the tempo of the edits that you're doing for a film or a scene. So when you have your rushes and then per your scripts, per the narrative, you've arranged what shots you think will best portray or convey the story to the audience. When you're done with your arrangements, when you're done assembling how you think the storyline should be on your timeline, which usually you know as rough cuts, when you're done with that, the next thing you should do when you're doing your fine cuts, that is when you should determine the flow that you want to give to the edits that you're doing. So let's say you've arranged the shots. Now you have the storyline. When you get to fine-tuning, the fine-tuning stage or the fine cut stage, you'd have to determine that, okay, so I want this shot to last maybe 10 seconds on screen. I want the close-up of that follows next to stay for 20 seconds. So then you determine the flow and the pacing and tempo of the story that you're creating. Because bear in mind, at your assembly stage or your rough cut stage, for some people, they just edit the story as it has been given in the scripts. But then it's up to you as an individual, as an editor, when you get to the fine-tuning stage to determine that, okay, this shot shouldn't stay too long on screen. If I let this stay longer on screen, I'll lose the emotion. If I let this one comes a bit faster, I'll be able to build the suspense or the tension that I want the people or the story to have. And those are the small things that you need to put at the back of your mind when you're editing. Yes, arrange your shots. Have the storyline that has been given as has been said in the script. But then when it comes to fine-tuning, as an editor, you need to add your touch to it. So determine where you want to shorten things, where you want to prolong things, where you want to add effects, where you want to add music, where you want to add instrumentation to heighten the mood of the storyline that you're doing. So the difference between rhythm and pacing, when you hear rhythm, you usually associate it with music. So music, you'd have the rhythm, usually you say the beat or the tempo of the music. So you have reggae, you have R&B, you have rap. You know, the minute you hear reggae, you know the beat that comes with it. You know how it's supposed to flow. You know how the song, the arrangements and the composition and everything has to be. In the same way, you can apply it to editing. So the rhythm, when it comes to editing, has to do with your selection of shots, the arrangement of your shots, the duration of the shots on screen. When do you decide to add effects? When do you decide to add transitions? What type of transitions do you want to add? Do you want to just do a simple cut? Do you want to dissolve? Do you want to fade in and fade out? Like, what do you want to do? Do you want to add effects? At what time do you add it? At what time do you add your music to convey the story or the narrative? Rhythm has to do with the flow, the tempo, which you'd give to the entire movie, your entire story. So when do you determine that this shot that you selected should stay longer? Should it stay longer? Should it stay shorter on screen? When do you want to add your graphics? When do you want to bring in your sound effects? When do you want to add music? What emotions do you want to convey? How do you want the viewer to feel when they watch the scene or the sequence that you're editing? Let's say the visual look and feel that you give to an edit, right? And then pacing, let's say rhythm is the mother and pacing is a child. So pacing is somehow interwoven into the rhythm. So after you have the exact flow that you want for an entire edit for a series or a film, in there you determine whether you want it to be fast or whether you want it to be slowed. So slow motion, fast pace. So you find yourself that in let's say action movies or a horror movie, we employ a lot of fast cuts just to create tension, just to create suspense. So you're editing, and then what you find yourself, let's say let me give an example. So you have a scene in an action movie where a character has just been informed that a villain just killed his family. So if you are editing as an editor, you have different ways of going about it, but then to convey and portray what the story wants and the emotions we want to get when the viewer is watching, you can edit. Let's say, so there's an extreme long shot, another character walks in to come and tell the character that so and so villain has killed or murdered your family. Then you can cut to a long shot, then to show the person telling the character or protagonist that this is what has happened. There, just when the message that has been sent to him is sinking in, and one editor can decide to cut to, let's say, a medium shot. Another editor can also decide to cut to a medium close-up or a choker for us to get the emotions at the point where the actor is just about to cry, for tears to drop on the face, so that you get the emotion that the story wants to convey. At that point, what do? Do you want to add music? Do you want to add sound effects, emotional music, emotional sound effects? All these things, it determines on the pacing you want to do. So somebody can cut it with very slow motion. The pictures or the visuals stay longer, slow motion with music that can be fast or very slow at the background, or you could cut it very fast. So you have the person being told, you cut 2 seconds, the next one 2 seconds, 2 seconds, up till the point where the character sits in their car or on a horse or whatever and rise to the place where the villain is to attack the person. So how the duration in which you cut would make it very fast or make it very long, depending on whether you want, if it's slow motion, then maybe you want to calm the audience down. You want them to go into the character and understand what the character is going through. But then if you want momentum, you want speed, you want action, something happening, you use fast cuts. And that's the pacing. It has to do with the speed. So yes, a scene with slow rhythm can definitely have a faster pacing in there. So let's take a scene whereby romantic movie and there's a conversation between two characters who are in love. If there's an argument scene, even though the rhythm or the entire flow of the movie is more relaxed to help the viewers to get into the love mood of the characters, if there's an argument, you'd have to cut fast between the two people. So let's say one character A has cheated on character B, and there's an argument back and forth. You can't say because the film is slowly paced or the tempo is slow, so you'd edit the interactions between them very slow. No. Normally, when you have an argument with somebody, you don't let the person finish before the next person talks. So as the person is talking, you intercut. So you cut from A, you cut from B, depending on the pace that you want the argument or how you want the argument to look like a very intense argument. You have to cut back and forth between. So this person says this before he's about to finish. The lady comes in and talks, and this person doesn't let the person. So it's back and forth. And that's to create a certain mood. And all I've been talking about is it depends on the storyline with which you're working and what's the message you want to convey. So yes, definitely a slower paced or a slow rhythm tempo movie definitely would have fast cuts depending on what you want to convey. The rhythm of a first scene is very important. By the first 5 minutes, you should have your audience hooked on whatever they are watching. No matter the genre of the movie or the series or whatever it is that they are watching. By the first 5 minutes, if you don't have your audience hooked, at least by 10 minutes, you should have them hooked. The minute you don't have your audience hooked, you lose them. So you have people saying that this movie was too boring. They made so much hype about it. The promo was very good, but then when I watched, it was boring. You have to make a conscious effort. You have to add style. You have to add certain bits and pieces of things. Do you cut on dialogue? Do you cut on actions? Do you cut on what? How do you apply your transitions? How do you apply your effects? How do you apply your background ambience? How do you apply your instrumentations? How do you apply your music? You need to adapt all these things to create something that is aesthetically beautiful to watch and grab the attention of the audience. Every editor has something that they add to what they work on. So we can be given the same script, we can be given the same rushes, but the results that student A would have would be different from what student B would have. Not that they are all wrong, but it depends on how they understand the story and what they want to convey per how they understand it and their emotions. You can have the best production, but if an editor doesn't apply certain magic to it, you can mess up the entire movie. Let's take Man of Steel, for instance, where you have this scene where he was fighting with General Zod. And then General Zod was insulting him that I've been a soldier all my life. Where did you learn to be a soldier? On a farm. And then started insulting his Earth mother and all that. The tempo or the rhythm of that scene started slow. They were talking, normal talking. It was slow. Then just when he delivers that dialogue, like, where did you learn to fight? On a farm or something? Clark just sparks up, and then he starts hitting him, pushing him through the farm into buildings, and that's when the fast cut starts. So at a point, if you're not careful to follow, you don't even know what is happening because it's fast. But then at a point, at the same time, when this fast-paced thing is happening, you find that Zack Snyder plays with this slow motion bit too in the fast pace, which is action movie, obviously. He plays with it so that just when Superman is about to either rise up into the sky, he gives a slow shot on his cape So you feel it's moving and then it goes up slowly before he shoots up fast. So that's to make you feel like you're him, you are the character. It draws you into the character and what is happening at that point in time. In your first 5 minutes, what I would advise you to do, arrange your shots. Get the best take from each scene. So you have different scenes. You have your long shots, you have your medium long shots, you have your medium shots, your close-ups, based on the story that you want to tell. Get the best action from the characters that are in the movie or their dialogue. Did they deliver very well? Arrange the best of all those. When you're done, go through it. Take your time. Where you feel the shot is taking too long on screen, cut it. Where you feel you need to, as a person is delivering a dialogue and it's in a long shot, you need to cut to a closer shot of them, just cut. You can cut on dialogue, you can cut on movements or actions. It makes your work swift and beautiful. When you're done, watch through again. Put yourself into the story. And then as you're doing it, determine that at this point, the emotions that the character is feeling, what kind of music should I put there? What kind of effects should I put there? How should I weave this whole thing to make it look beautiful? Is it something that you come back and watch again? If you're not too sure, get somebody else to come and watch. Cuts based on how you want the story to be told, and told very well. As an editor, you need to create magic. You need to add your own special touch to what you're working on. Let's take it that two characters are talking and then one person says, my mom is traveling to LA. But before they finish talking, you see a picture of LA, welcome to LA on screen. That's an overlay. So that's mixing the end of one scene into another to create a smooth transition. That you could have a dissolve, or sometimes you could use fade to black and then you fade back in. You have to weave a very smooth transition from one scene, the end of a scene, into the beginning of another, because it's a continuous story. You're trying to make it flow seamlessly. So in conclusion, class, we've been learning about rhythm and pacing today. You've come to understand that rhythm has to do with the overall visual look and feel, the tempo that you give to your edits or the entire movie, whereas the pacing has to do with the speed that you'd adapt to use within your edits. As an editor, you are the demigod when it comes to the rushes. Create magic when it is brought to your decks. How you cut should be beautiful. It should be something that when a normal person or a viewer or an audience is watching, they would love to know what happened in the next scene. You should leave your audience wanting for more. You should edit in such a way that you leave them on a cliffhanger and they want to watch what happens next. That is what your editing is supposed to do. That is the message you're supposed to convey with the rushes that you've been given. Go out there, make magic, and edit more.